lovelies, today I want to talk about something that a lot of us like to keep under wraps, and that is scientifically known as Candida albicans, also more commonly known as thrush, or a yeast infection. If you don't suffer from thrush, then that's great, but if you ever do in the future, hopefully this video will help you. And for those of us who do suffer from a good old bout of thrush now and again, well, I especially hope that this video helps you. Now, before we get into it, and I'm being very nervous, I just want to let you know that I am not a doctor, just standing in front of a camera telling you how it is as a woman, and we're just having a chat, okay? I've already told you I'm not a doctor, so I did have to go and look up what thrush really was, and apparently it is caused by the overgrowth of a type of yeast called Candida. This yeast is normally found in small amounts in the human body, so we all have it. But certain medicines and health problems can cause more yeast to grow. Just before we dive into what it feels like and how I can prevent it and things like that, I want to talk about why people find it so embarrassing to talk about something like thrush. It is an infection after all. If you have a wart on your arm, most people will see it and they're not necessarily going to think that you're gross, they'll just think that you have a wart, whatever. But for some reason, because it's to do with your vajayjay and it might itch, suddenly everybody's like, ooh! And if you have it, you're like, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone. Side note, when I was younger, I used to religiously keep a diary. And once upon a time, I wrote in my diary that I had an itchy so-and-so. And some meanie took my diary one day and peeked at it and saw what I'd written and came straight up to me and said, "Do you have thrush? Ew, that's so gross." And I said, "Have you ever had it?" And she said, "No." I thought, well, okay, well, that's good for you. But why do we have to be like this to each other? Back to the information. Some common ways to get Candida/thrush. Your gut typically keeps your Candida levels in check. However, a few factors can cause the Candida population to grow out of control. And I don't even need my laptop for this because I know these things. 1, too much sugar. Very similar to sugar are carbs, because carbs are ultimately sugar in the end. They kind of just don't look like sugar and then they break down into sugar. Well, this is what my mom told me anyway. Alcohol. Now, lots of us will like to mix spirits and things with sugary drinks, and then beer is fermented and has yeast in it, and wine also has sugar in it. Also, highly fermented foods. For example, stuff that you find in jars like pickles. Those things. And as I said earlier, stress. And what really stresses me out about this is the fact that you have to be punished after you've already been stressed, which is a punishment on its own, by getting something like thrush. So just stay away from stress, which is very hard to do in this day and age. But remember to breathe. If you've been sick and you were given antibiotics are also a big contributor to this, and oral contraceptives. So if you're on the pill, women, you're more likely to probably get thrush at some point in time. And if you don't, then you're just fabulous, and I wish I was you. So now that you've got thrush, which is really sucky, here are a few things that might be able to help alleviate the symptoms. And if they don't, then I strongly suggest that you go and visit a doctor. So when you do look up thrush and Candida and suggestive diets and stuff like that, you'll find that you pretty much can't eat anything. Like, you basically can only eat air, and it really frustrates me because it's like, we're only humans here and we only have thrush and we just want to get rid of it for a moment. Please go with my joke here. You can obviously eat some things. Trying to remember one of them, perhaps nuts, I don't know. What I like to do is kind of pick a few things that are in that list of do not eat. If I know that I eat a lot of those things, I try not to eat them as much. And certain things that I know that I can cut out, I will completely cut out. So are you with me here? You're gonna see a whole big list and break it into a manageable list for yourself, and I promise you, your body will start feeling good again. Things that I think you really must consume are a lot of yogurt, or yogurt. I'm from England and they say yogurt, and in South Africa they say yogurt. So probiotics, coconut oil, and if you're brave enough, you can smear it down there. And if you're also even more brave, literally eat spoonfuls of it. If you really can't do either of those things, then just cook with it. Any way of consuming that coconut oil is going to work wonders. Something else I love to use is tea tree oil or tea tree cream. Anything tea tree. Don't know if you get this where you're from. It's called Candy Zone, and it comes with applicators. It's pretty much like a tampon, so we're all rather familiar. Get rid of the nylons and the G-strings and the uncomfortable panties and start wearing pure cotton. I'm pretty sure if you look in your knickers drawer, you will find something that says 100%. Just make sure you wear those for the time being. When it comes to having sex with your partner, I would strongly suggest using a condom, because what can happen is, even if you feel like you're kind of almost over your thrush, you can transfer it to your partner and then he might carry it for a bit and give it back to you later on. So it's a bit of like a circle vibe. So I would just use a condom. I would always suggest using a condom, sorry, underline. But you know, if you're in one of those relationships where you're not using a condom for whatever reason, then please use something. Again, I would strongly suggest that you talk to your GP about this. They'll give you more in-depth information about the sexual transmission of thrush. So that pretty much sums up the tips and tricks that I would suggest. Now once it's gone and you're like, oh my god, it's gone, I'm so happy, I'm just gonna eat all the sugar in the world, and I'm gonna drink wine, and I'm just gonna do what I want because I've got no thrush. Doesn't really work like that. It's probably going to ignite the fire again. So just carry on with your routine, whatever routine suits you and whatever's worked for you in the past. To conclude this video, I just want to rehash that this is a very common thing and it happens to lots of us. And I mean, I'm standing here saying that it's happened to me before. So stick to a good diet, remember you are what you eat, all those things, but don't let it rule your life. Don't dwell on it and think, oh my gosh, I can't get out of bed, I have this thing. Rather just take the measures that you need to take to get rid of it. Your body's a great healing machine and it will heal in time. That is my video. I would love, 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 love for you to give me some pointers down below. If you don't feel confident to talk about it, that's fine. You can just give this video a like or a share. You know, you can just help others by doing that. So yes, I will be back soon as always. Cheers, bye! Hello lovelies! I cannot believe how fast this year has gone by. We've got Halloween coming up and then it's the race till Christmas. And even though the year has flown by, it's also been a bit of a long one. You know, our bodies are probably saying, okay, it's time to recharge, and some of us might just want to freshen up our lives a little bit.